This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 742, The Cult of Overwork, Why We Still Value It, and How to Overcome It, by Mr. Feiner of MrFeiner.com. And I'm Dan, I'm your host, and I'm with you every single day to help you optimize your business life. And if you're new to this show or to the Optimal Network, the idea is pretty simple. What we do is we get permission from some great authors who write about entrepreneurship, and we turn that into audio for you. And as usual, I will tell you more about today's author right after I do the reading. So for now, let's get to it as we optimize your life. The Cult of Overwork, Why We Still Value It, and How to Overcome It, by Mr. Feiner of MrFeiner.com. Hard work versus overwork. A management consultant is perhaps not the best person to write about overwork. After all, I used to work 80 to 90 hours a week. However, I have witnessed firsthand the harm overworking can cause. Don't get me wrong, hard work is a good thing, but when it turns into overwork, it becomes dangerous. It is not easy to distinguish between hard work and overwork. Working 50 hours a week may be hard work, and working 80 hours a week may be overwork, but it's not just the number of hours that determines overwork. When I was overworked, there never seemed to be enough time in the day to do all the things that needed to be done. I started with my to-do list in the morning, and by evening, more items got added to the list than I managed to complete during the day. Worse still, I could not stop thinking about work, even on weekends. If I took time to do something other than work, I felt guilty that I wasn't working. This was when I knew I was overworking. Other signs of overwork are missing personal events, like birthdays and parties, for work, checking your emails while socializing, dreading Sunday evenings, etc. Is overworking bad? Of course overworking is bad. There is the obvious harm it does to your health. Lack of sleep, no time to exercise, increased stress, etc. People working more than 54 hours a week are at significant risk of dying from overwork. So the phrase working yourself to death is literally true. One underappreciated harm that overworking does is that it makes you a one-dimensional person. You tend to become good at just one thing, work, at the expense of everything else, hobbies, sports, relationships, etc. While this may be good for your employer, it is not good for you. At some point, you will leave your job, and if the only thing you are good at is your job, what will you do after you retire? Surprisingly, overworking is not good for your employer either. Numerous studies have shown that overworking results in lower productivity and work quality. Quote, "The willing horse is always overworked." End quote. Charles Darwin. Why do we overwork? Given all the reasons, why do so many of us overwork? From a young age, we're taught the virtues of hard work, like the story of the ant and the grasshopper. We are taught to work hard like the ant and not sit idle like the grasshopper. We are told that achieving anything in life takes hard work, be it good grades, success at work, reaching the top in sports, etc. At some point, working hard flips to overworking. This typically happens when we associate our identity with our work. Associating identity with work. More than anything else, our job defines who we are. Someone may be a mother, a wife, a painter, and 100 other things, and she may also happen to work at a bank. But when asked, "What do you do?" the answer most likely will be, "I am a banker." I was no different. When asked what I do, I used to reply, "I am a management consultant. I help companies deal with their strategic issues." Once you associate your identity with work, it becomes impossible not to overwork. If your job defines who you are, then you want to excel at your job. After all, that is who you are, even if it means working 80 to 90 hours a week or working late nights and weekends. Today's jobs are also different than a generation ago. Back in the day, when people produced widgets in a factory, there was an objective way to measure output. So if you were good at your job, you would make more widgets. In the knowledge economy, everyone's work and output is different. Comparing or even measuring output is difficult. So the only way to compare employees is the input, how many hours they're working. Quote, "We tend to overwork as a means of self-escape, as a way of trying to justify our existence." End quote. Joseph Piper. What to do? So what can we do? Well, this depends on what type of overworking situation you are in. 1. Self-imposed. In this case, you overwork because you want to do the best work possible, or you want that promotion. You don't want to let your team down. You want to become CEO by 45, etc. Or maybe you are seeking fulfillment from work that needs to be met somewhere else. No matter the reason, the only way to deal with this is to change your thinking. Look at all the detrimental effects of overwork on your life and decide if it is worth it. Unless you are solving world hunger, you can afford to work less. 2. Corporate culture. Overworking can be part of the company culture. Everyone around you may be proud of how they worked all weekend or spent all night working, etc. In this case, talk to your manager and explain that you value other things in life in addition to your work. But honestly, the better option is just to find another job or become financially independent. Don't let fear or a false sense of loyalty keep you wedded to a toxic environment. In the immortal words of Elsa, you have to let it go. And 3. Addiction. Someone can be addicted to working, and that can lead to overwork. Solving a complex problem can provide a lot of satisfaction. Similarly, completing a project successfully or landing a big deal can be a great feeling. However, once the deal is done, there's always the next deal, and then the one after that. There is no shortage of work for those who seek it in today's workplace. It's almost like Candy Crush. There's always the next level. And just like Candy Crush, there's no end to it, unless you decide to do something else. In conclusion, if you are accustomed to overworking, it can be challenging to recognize it, much less change it. However, figuring out what is causing you to overwork can help you overcome it. You just listened to the post titled "The Cult of Overwork: Why We Still Value It and How to Overcome It" by Mr. Finer of MrFiner.com. And thanks to Mr. Finer for today's article. He says he is happily married and has a great job, but a decade of overworking and no financial planning left him wanting something new. He started his site to share his financial independence, or FI, journey, experiences, mistakes, successes, benefits, positives, and negatives. And so far, it's been a great ride for him with many lessons along the way. To check out more of his great articles, quotes, and more, you can visit him online at MrFiner.com. And big thanks to Mr. Finer for letting us share his work today. But that's going to do it for episode 742. Hope you enjoyed the post, and I will see you back here again tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.